All right. Well, hey, let's get rolling today. Today we're going to talk about the digital landscape, social media, what you should pay attention to, what you shouldn't waste your time doing, and overall why it's important. Now more than ever. So thank you for joining us this week. If you hadn't had a chance to see some of the other things that we've been talking about this week, Monday we really covered, okay, how does White Glove help advisors and agents thrive? Tuesday, we talked about seminars, all the best practices in the White Glove solution for seminars. Yesterday, we talked really about webinars and how to optimize those and actually get conversions out of webinars. And today, we're going to talk about the social media, the big elephant in the room of what in the heck should I do to be effective on social media. And then hopefully you guys can all join us tomorrow as we talk about how to piece these things together to have a plan as opposed to shiny object syndrome that many agents and advisors and entrepreneurs in general are succumb to, because it's this thing, this thing, this thing. We got to try, test, and ultimately give yourself poorer results because you're not sticking with any given process or plan. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But today, we're going to talk about the digital landscape, and you're absolutely in the right place. If number one, your social media could probably use some attention. You have prospects or clients that still need nurturing, right? It's more than 70% of clients, when they leave their financial advisor, they say it's because of poor communication. We're going to help you with that today. And then finally, if you value your time and your expertise as opposed to the jack of all trades, right? Master of none. So this is the first event you're tuning into. White Glove, we're founded by advisors. We got our claim to fame doing seminars with the very first, pay for performance pricing model. Still one of the only models like that on the market, where advisors pay after the events. They only pay for the people that come and sit in front of them or the people that log on to a webinar. So we've done 500,000 potential client introductions, 4,000 new webinars here since COVID. And it's all founded by advisors who really lead the direction of White Glove and how we should approach the market. And with everything that we do, we hope to keep the advisor focused on speaking to prospects and talking to their clients. All the other minutia, right? Trying to figure out what Mark Zuckerberg's doing on Facebook or what events are working the best. We handle all of that and let the advisor just talk to packed rooms, put their social media on cruise control, focus on speaking with prospects and clients and avoiding all the other minutia. So today we're really going to cover three things. We're going to cover what's working today. We're going to cover staying top of mind in a digital space. And then at the end, we're going to cover that White Glove solution of how we can do this for you so you don't have to learn how to do it yourself. But hopefully you're going to see some of the tips and tactics that we're covering today and glean some value out of today's presentation. So we're going to cover a lot of stats throughout here just to show you that, hey, you know what, this isn't a guess. This is based on data. White Glove's firsthand data of running 22,000 seminars, webinars, and direct introductions. A lot of that data comes from us. We have a very robust tech track that we run, and then we've done just countless surveys and research throughout the industry that shows what's the best email cadences, what's the best social media policies, and all that kind of stuff. And so this isn't a guess. This isn't what Brad thinks is great. This is all based on data today. So first, what we're talking about is just, okay, we're now in this environment where more often than not, someone is going to research you online, find you in a digital environment before they are ever going to shake your hand or reach out with a phone call. So how do we adapt to this digital and live hybrid that we're in now? So what we found in 2019, advisors were very comfortable with websites at this point, right? They understood they needed to have one. It's kind of like wearing a suit to the office. You have to have a website. And we were starting to understand SEO and what that means and what that could mean for your business. And there was this encroaching pull of social media and how does that fit in and where's that is it going to replace websites? Is it going to be more important, less important than websites? We were kind of learning that in 2019. When it comes to seminars, we learned that, hey, you got to lead with education above sales. And that actually pulls right into social media best practices as well as, You have to lead with something they're interested in and something educational before you go out there and try to sell them on anything. 2020 was really interesting. Launched the entire industry into a virtual environment out of necessity. That helped grease a lot of wheels when it comes to compliance, right? Because they had to. But also it just helped advisors get more comfortable with, hey, I need to learn how to communicate virtually. But also the consumer side of it at the exact same time was reaching those same conclusions where, people weren't going to just not see their family for the next year and a half, right? Michigan, we're based out of Detroit, and in Michigan, we were on total lockdown for that first year. Everything was closed. And I went from traveling in 2019 to, half the time I was on the road to an entire year sitting at home. And, it was so quickly that I started seeing my family more than I ever have before, meeting with my aunts and grandparents, and we're having virtual birthday parties. And it really kind of brought everybody together in this platform that probably would have taken 5 to 10 years if COVID hadn't happened. So as we're in 2020 and beyond, what we have to do is look at what we saw in the past that's working, the efficiencies in 2020, and blend those together to have a found credibility when it comes to the virtual environment, because people are going to find you when it comes to social media, when it comes to searching for you online. If they don't, that's a whole nother issue. That's worse. You need to be stalkable. But it adds in just this amazing opportunity, because when someone finds your credibility when they find it themselves, that's such a powerful tool compared to you trying to tell them. And now we have all these new channels that we can utilize, plus some of those tried and true methods that we've done in the past. So we're going to analyze some of those channels right now, because you have to have a multi-channel approach. I personally don't read a ton of emails. If I don't know the person, I'll see that they emailed, which is nice, especially if I'm getting a sales email, for example. I won't read them every single day. But you know what? It'll hit me that one day where, yeah, I want to read that. I want to learn about that, whatever. I'll never go to a company's website, very rarely. And then, you know what? I'm on social media. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn personally, but your prospects will all have their desired method of communication, how they want to be talked to. Like I mentioned earlier, 70% of clients that leave their financial advisor say it's because of lack of communication. That's not necessarily because the advisor wasn't communicating, but that same advisor wasn't communicating in the way that that client preferred. They might be making phone calls and that person doesn't really want to talk on the phone, right? Or they might be sending, a newsletter through the mail and they feel that that's not personal enough and they throw it away, right? So you have to reach out in the way that they want to be communicated with. And the trouble is, you never know. So it has to be a multi-channel approach. Your websites, your email, your social media, it should all work together. And the way to do that is to start with great content. Content is absolutely king when it comes to this. And a lot of the things that advisors struggle with is, well, this is what I sell. This is what I do. So this is what I want to tell my prospects. This is what I want to communicate to my clients. And at the root of that, that's an issue. Because, I talked to a lot of Medicare agents recently, and they said, well, I want my social media to be flooded with Medicare articles. I want my email newsletter every week to have tons of Medicare content in it. The problem with that is if I'm not interested in reading a Medicare article on Monday, and then I'm not going to read it on Tuesday, I'm not going to read it on Wednesday, by the time someone is posting or sending something on Thursday, that system has pushed you so far down in the algorithm that your content will never be relevant. You'll never get seen. And so if you have content, you have to think about it from the reader's perspective of what is interesting to them. What do they want to read in right now? What are they going to click into and actually engage with your content? And this can be on your website, through social media, or in your emails. And what you're doing is you're not always selling, but you're training your followers, your readers, your clients, that you are sharing content that they want to read. So that slightly less frequent occurrence when you want to remind them what you do in your day job, that they're used to opening that email or they're used to clicking on articles in your social media. So they're still going to see that. right? That's the way to do it. And make sure when you're sharing content, keep that, there should be two focuses. The only thing that you should share is the content you want them to read, and then your branding. Anything else is a distraction. And I say that because there's a lot of posts on social media that you can do. You can go to Forbes, you can grab a link, you can put it on your LinkedIn, you can share it out to your base, right? And absolutely, you're sharing great content that they might want to read. But what you're doing is, instead of having branded content for you, where they're reading the article and they're saying, okay, well, that was from James. He shared that with me. This is great content. Thank you, James. Instead, when you share an article that you're not hosting, you're sending them to that publisher's website. And the reason you share the article is because you think it's relevant. Well, that's the same thing that that website is trying to do, is share relevant articles. And what do? They sell ad space. So some of that might be to subscribe to their publication, right? Some of that might be a competitor that bought ad space on that article. I was recently reviewing a advisor's social media with them, and we were showing the white glove solution and what we did. And he said, "Oh yeah, I already do that. I share articles." I said, "Okay, well, let's just take a look through it, right? And here's two options." And we look at James's here. You read the article, you could book a meeting with James, right? And then we went to his social media. We clicked on an article, and the very first thing that popped up was an ad for another advisor. So he was sending his prospects and his clients to read an article where they're going to get hit with an ad from another advisor. And guess what? When that ad tracks them, when they catch them, now when they're on Facebook, they're going to start seeing ads for that advisor. You're feeding your leads to someone else if you just send them to that publisher's website. So just be very careful when you're sharing content to that. You want it clean, you want it branded to you, and stay away from serving up your clients to other ads. Another thing that you should really try to incorporate, whether it's your website or your social media platforms, is try to have a lead form on there, so that when other people are reading your content, if I read a great content that you shared with me, and I want to share it with my brother who's in a similar financial situation, or my neighbor who I know is struggling with X, Y, and Z, if I share that article, I share that content, you want to be able to try to capture that lead, right? You want to be able to capture that person and feed them more content throughout. That is not an option if you send them to the publisher's website, right? So try to keep this stuff in-house, that you can have that lead form built in there. So be very cognizant of what content you're sharing, but more importantly, where you're sending your ideal prospects and where you're sending your potential clients, because the digital world is full of ways to grab leads and grab people's attention, right? Every time you open Facebook, you barely even recognize that you're seeing 5 ads for every 3 posts from your friends, right? So just be very cognizant of that when you're deciding to post content, of where you're sending those people. So we're going to talk a lot about social media today. But one thing to think about is websites. I've had top website publishers tell me that in 5 years, websites are going to be obsolete, that people just won't use them anymore. They're not going to visit them. That social media is 100% where everybody's going to find their information. I think that to a point, they're correct. Whereas if a prospect is going to research you, they're not going to immediately find your website. So instead of trying to put all your efforts into this shiny, great website with X, Y, and Z in it, what you want to do is you want to optimize conversions when they find your website, right? Build that as a tool to catch leads. The traffic, with all the paid Google searches, the SEO optimization, you needing custom content in there to rank higher. I mean, it's a constant struggle to build traffic towards your personal website. Now, there's absolutely ways to do that, but make sure that when you're building your website, when you have content on there, anything that you have on there, make sure that you're built to catch those leads. If you put a blog post on there, you put a podcast or a video or something like that, make sure there's a call to action. Make sure that they can opt in, make sure they can sign up for the newsletter. If you're doing digital marketing, make sure there's a Facebook pixel on your page so that you can retarget those people later when they're surfing social media. But really look at your websites as catching leads, that there's a lot of fruit there that can be grabbed as opposed to trying out there to drive traffic to it. So make sure that it's relevant, keep some, news articles on there that are more timely. Um, Individually written blog content is great for search engine optimization. If you share let's just say a Forbes article on your website, that's great for having new up-to-date content when someone finds your website, but it won't help you with search engine optimization. You have to have unique content on your website to really help with that and be ranked higher when it comes to, search engines looking for you and all that sort of thing. So the correct channels to use on social media and virtual, a quick little stat here: Google, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you're optimizing those three things, those three channels, you're going to hit 90% of your prospects. So when people are trying to find you, if you have a very robust position on those three platforms, people will be able to find you. Little pro tip here: if you're not aware of this, we call it the Google My Business, the 3-pack. And what that is when people are on their phone or people are sitting at home, mostly it's a phone search, right? And they Google dentist near me, they Google financial advisor near me. What's going to pop up is the first thing that's going to pop up is the paid ads, right? So someone went in, they bought those Google words that, they bought the word annuity. So the first time you search annuity, that lead generation company is probably going to pop up, right? But then what happens is it pulls in organic searches that are not paid, that are just based off the Google business page. And that's called Google My Business, right? You may have one of these. You may have set up one of these. You might have one that you did not set up. Somebody else could have submitted, hey, I know this business exists. So you could actually have a Google page out there and it's just sitting there unclaimed, but people would find it, right? So what you need to do is just go to your business page on Google, see if it exists. If it does exist, there's a process that you go through with Google to claim it. But ultimately, to get up into that 3-pack, right? Most people don't search past those first few options. You search dentist near me, or it pops up an ad, and then it pops up 3 options of dentist near me. I pick the second one. It's got higher ratings or whatever, and I'm going to go do that. But 84% of searches on Google are discovery. And that means they're searching financial advisor near me. They're not searching InvestWise Financial. They're searching financial advisor near me. There's nearly 30,000 searches per month that are related to financial advisor near me. And the easiest way to pop up in those searches is to claim your business on Google. Depending on your compliance, see if you can't generate positive reviews on there, get those star ratings. But simple things like adding a picture in there, putting your website on there, putting the correct phone number on there. Those little things to fill out that profile will help you rank higher on that ultimate list, right? And the goal is to get up into that 3-pack. So when people are searching for advisors near me, that you pop up in there. Now, what you'll have to do is, check in with your compliance, see what the rules are for you generating positive reviews. But if you're able to, you can ask your current clients or prospects or whatever, people that you've worked with, to leave you positive reviews to get that star ranking up there. And then you're going to start ranking higher in that Google My Business. And again, this page may exist regardless if you set it up or not. I can submit a case to Google and say, hey, this business exists. It's right here. I take a picture of it. I send it to Google. It'll pop up on that map. That owner may never claim it. It might just sit there forever. So I would research today to see if your page exists. If you already know it exists and it's yours, that's great. There's ways to optimize that. Make sure you're filling out that profile. And if not, create one, get in touch with Google. It's called Google My Business, and get your profile page set up. So I really want to talk one quick note here. So we talked about websites, we talked about content, we talked about utilizing the Google search here. We're going to get into the social media channels that you should use. But before we do that, I want to talk about email. Email still remains to be a very highly effective communication tool because it's one-to-one communication. The more unique you can make those emails, the more customization you can put in there. So it says, instead of saying dear client, it says their name, simple things like that. So it's going to them, right? The more you can do that, the better. It really kind of kicks back to that content if it's something that they want to read. So think about that. It's not what you want to say, it's what they want to read. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase your view rates. And that's where the goal is, right? Is you want people viewing your content. Very simply, and not to get too far into the weeds of all of this, but if you're doing email nurturing, if you're sending out newsletters, weekly, monthly, a couple of quick things that you should absolutely look at. The first and the easiest thing to fix is the delivery rate. What that means is when you send 100 emails, how many of them go to where they're supposed to? Look at that first, because every time you send an email that doesn't get delivered, you're flagging a system that could link you as spam. If you send a lot of undeliverable emails, then even if you know a person, the systems and the monitoring systems are going to say, hey, you know what, this server sends a lot of junk emails, it's probably spam. Let's throw it in the spam folder just to be safe. So look at your delivery rate, see how many of those emails are actually getting delivered. And then you could dial into things like how many times are they, what's the open rate of those emails? There's a difference between an open rate and a unique open rate. Unique open rate is gold. That's how many individuals are opening your email. Why is that different than just a regular open rate? Some people read the email 3 or 4 times. They open it a few times, right? So those are just 2 different things to look at, but ultimately you want to get to that view rate. And before you get too discouraged, our industry average is 20% open rate. That means 20% of the people that you send emails to will read it. Now, the 80% that don't open it, is that a bummer? Is that sad? Is that XYZ? One, there could be a content issue there, right? Make sure that you're sharing positive, content that they want to read, but also, don't discredit the power of sending it, even if they don't open it. And what I mean by that is, how often do you guys get spam emails? Maybe there's brands that I'm very loyal to that I love, but I'm not going to purchase it every single week, right? But every time I get an email from them, I might not read it. I'll delete it. I might not read it, but I remember that they exist. I remember that they reached out. If there's valuable content in that email, I'm not going to get upset. And you're doing the same thing with your prospects or your clients. You're reminding them that you exist, you're staying top of mind. And if you're sharing valuable content, that's seen as a positive. But don't get discouraged if your open rate is around 20%. If you're significantly lower than that, go back and look at those things. First, look at your delivery rate, and then you can say, hey, what is the issue here? It might be a content issue, it might be a delivery rate issue, but you want to shoot for that 20%. If you can get higher than that, some of our programs are averaging, 30, 33% open rates, which is great. But don't get discouraged if you're sitting about that 20%. It's still effective. It's still worth doing. That 20% that do open that email, that's not the same 20% every time you send an email. Okay. So if you're sending it to 10 people, 2 people might open it this week, a different 2 might open it next week, and so on and so forth. And if you are paying attention and you have those analytics behind it, you can see those active, engaged readers that maybe they open the last 6 newsletters and they spent a whole bunch of time reading the one on estate planning. They might have some concerns. You might want to make a phone call, right? Be very careful about how sneaky and creepy you get with the data that you have out there. Oh, I just saw you read this email 16 times and I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions, right? Be a little bit more sly than that, if you will. Okay, so the meat of this, let's get into the social media aspects. What should you be posting on? What should you be posting? What channels are most effective? What is that little blue F on your phone, right? Is that similar to the IN on your phone? Let's talk about using the correct channels. So if you're using Google, we've mastered that, right? Google My Business, go claim it, make sure your page looks nice. And now if you have a professional LinkedIn and Facebook profile, you're going to hit 90% of your desired audience. Now, LinkedIn, 70% of your prospects will research you on LinkedIn before they reach out to you. They are going to stalk you. It's a common conception that professionals have LinkedIn pages, that if you're a professional, I can go to LinkedIn. I can see what you're all about. I can see your accolades. And the found credibility on LinkedIn speaks volumes compared to you telling them how great you are, because they're doing the research. They're looking into you to see if you're credible. And when they find you and they find you on LinkedIn, um, you have a couple of options there. One, they're going to not find you on LinkedIn, and then maybe that throws a little bit of a red flag. It's not like they're going to reach out and, ask for additional information. They're just not going to reach out. Right. Or two, they find you on LinkedIn and it's that cropped, car selfie, or the where you were at the wedding and you're dressed nice, but you cropped out. So you got someone's hand on your shoulder or something. Put a nice picture on there. Take the time to do that. But if the profile is empty and it's a weird photo on there and there's no contact information, no accolades, that's what you're showcasing your potential clients. And again, 70% of prospects are going to research a professional on LinkedIn before they reach out to them. So keep that in mind. And it's not always just prospects, that if Ed Slott always says that even your current clients are 80% prospect. So they might look at you, see what you got going on, what they might follow you on LinkedIn or follow you on Facebook to see, to develop that personal bond. And if you're nowhere to be found on those, you're missing that opportunity. So set up your profile like you would a resume / advertisement, right? You want a little bit of pizzazz in there, a little bit of sizzle, showing some accolades. But you know what? You also want to showcase your professionalism. LinkedIn is very much professional centric, and just keep in mind, you have the ability to show prospects what you want to tell about yourself when it comes to LinkedIn. And it's much easier to find you on LinkedIn than it is ever to find your website. I might not know who InvestWise Financial is, but I know who Dean Thurman is, and I can search him on LinkedIn, right? So it's an easy search tool. And one of the things is, if they go to Google you, you could try it yourself, Google yourself and see what happens. Almost always the very first link is your LinkedIn account. So pay attention to that. Definitely get in there, look at it and say, hey, is this something I want my prospects to be reading? So let's talk about Facebook, right? That's the one that's changing every day. That's the one with Mark Zuckerberg pulling all the strings, changing this and this and this. More often than not, I hear advisors say, I don't want anything to do with Facebook. It's awful. People are complaining about politics on there. It's all COVID this and vaccine that. Like, I don't want my business associated with anything like that. But I tell you what, your prospects get their updates from Facebook. And I like to think of it this way, like, when is the last time you think your ideal prospect, your top client, when's the last time they walked out to their mailbox, they opened it up, inside was a card from their child and pictures of the grandkids? When's the last time that happened? When's the last time you got something in the mail from your family that had a hard photo, printed out? Maybe on Christmas, right? Maybe. But when's that your best client, that top prospect that you'd love to talk to, when's the last time they saw a picture of their grandkids, right? When's the last time they saw what their family was up to? Well, I'll tell you, it was today. They opened their phone, they hopped on Facebook, they saw the pictures of the grandkids, and they scrolled through to see what the heck was going on, right? And by not being a part of Facebook, you are missing an opportunity to be on that grandkid. Oh, there's my financial advisor showcasing important information. Okay, you're missing that by staying off of Facebook. I'm not saying get into the politics, get into the weeds, get all that stuff, share valuable content, but have a presence on there. You absolutely have to. So Facebook, it works great to be professional on there, but you want to make sure that you're showcasing your human side. Okay, you want to showcase that you're a human being. Take pictures of the if you're working from home, take pictures of the dog and say, here's the new coworker, right? It doesn't always have to be news articles and blog content and all that stuff. You want people to interact with your human side, because you should know that you're a professional, but they should see that there's a human being that drives that business. And then finally, Google My Business, right? Those are the 3 channels that you have to look at. That Google is going to be a hyper local search, and you have to be found. If you're not found, your competitors are being found. So all of these things have very different online cultures. And often questions that I get from advisors is, well, what about TikTok? What about Instagram? What about whatever brand new social media platform just came out? Should I be posting on there? I hear this is the new rage. Should I be on there? The first thing I always say is, well, here's what I recommend. I recommend you get an account, log on to it and don't say a word. Don't get on there and post anything. Don't get on there and engage. Just get on there and review the content that's being shared. Learn that online culture. So don't post on it. Just spend a couple of weeks interacting with it, reviewing it, checking out what's being posted on there, and then see, do you want your business associated with that? For the bulk of those times, people come back and say, you know what, that's not the social channel for me. That's not what I want my business associated with, right? LinkedIn, like I said, LinkedIn and Facebook, pay attention to those. Twitter is great as well. There's a very short shelf life on Twitter. An average tweet lasts 15 minutes before it's redundant or gone. But LinkedIn's culture is very business centric, right? It's very much, I am a professional. This is my professional presence. This is professional content that I want to share. But there's not usually a ton of interaction on there, likes, emojis, that type of stuff. It's more people get on it, they read it, they share things that they want to share. There's interaction between professionals, but not necessarily from a lot of followers and all that stuff. So if you're posting on LinkedIn, don't get sad that you don't have a lot of emojis or likes or anything like that. You're building that profile for people to be able to find you. Facebook, emotion drives decisions, and it's so important and a great way to showcase your humanity and show your human side when it comes to your business. That's what fuels Facebook. Again, that's why there's so much negativity out there, because it's a lot of emotion on Facebook. Stay out of that, right? Especially with your business page. If you have a personal page on there, be careful about that too, because you never know if you're posting something that might be, skewing one side or the other. You might have somebody that sees that, and just be careful about that. But you have a great opportunity to showcase that you're a real human being and a professional on Facebook. If you can be more relevant and top of mind, that's way more important than what you sell, because how that Facebook algorithm works, right? When you log on, what posts you see, it's all based on what posts you interact with, what posts you view, and Facebook knows that. Because why? Because they want you on it all day long so they can serve you ads and they can make money. So what they're going to do is they're going to show you the things that you click on. They're going to show you the things that you read over and over and over again, and things that are like that content. So if you're on there preaching about what you sell every single day and people stop interacting with it, what happens is your posts fall off the radar. You will no longer be in my feed, because I don't interact with sales posts. I might read a relevant article, right? I might say, oh, something happened in the news. This new potential tax law is coming out. I might read that, but I'm not going to read about what you sell every single day. And the more you post without getting interaction, the less people will see you. So that's why it's great to throw the picture of the dog on there. That's why it's great to showcase, the new office assistants, wedding pictures, or going fishing for the weekend or stuff like that. Showcase your human side. That'll get those interactions that people will like, they'll interact with. And then when you do say, hey, this is what I do in my day job, they'll actually be able to see it. So keep that in mind. And then Google, again, you're going to get found or somebody else will. So all of this really boils down to this virtual environment and this idea behind found credibility. And it's entirely different than pushed accolades. So the good news is it's achievable. You know what? If they want to find you, they can, if you let them, right? Well-informed prospects feel more confident to make a decision. If I can research a professional before I do business with them and I understand that they have some credibility, I feel more confident. If I feel very well informed about the person that I'm going to do business with, I am more confident. And the only time someone makes a decision is when they're confident. So it's absolutely achievable. You can have that found credibility out there. I call it the new virtual handshake, if you will, because you're not, hi, nice to meet you, shaking your hand. What you're doing is they're going to stalk you. They're going to look at you online. They're going to research you what they can on their own. And when they find things that make them confident about how credible you are, that's when they're going to start doing business with you. Bad news is it's an absolute grind. It absolutely is. Inconsistent messaging or inconsistent presence will absolutely kill your traction. So not only do you have to have good content, but you have to have consistent content that people will continue reading with. Otherwise, you're just going to fall off the radar there. And it can't be all about you. It can't. It has to be about what they want to read, what they want to act on. So what do you do? First, have a multi-channel approach. Some people are going to read email. Some people are going to go to your website. Some people are going to be on social media. The majority of your prospects are going to be on social media, but you want to hit them in all aspects so that you're communicating with your prospects and clients the way that they want to be communicated with. Again, you don't want to fall into that bucket where 70% of those people are leaving because of poor communication. Not when there's email and social and websites and phone calls and client events. Not when there's all of these options out there for you. Then, and a lot of these can be very turnkey. You don't want to risk losing a potential client because you're not following up when they need to. They might read an article from somebody else about something that concerns them with their financial future. And two things are going to happen. They're going to say, well, wait a minute, why didn't my financial advisor tell me about this? Or two, they're going to read it, they're going to be concerned, and you're never going to know. So you'll want to share content that will help them and stay top of mind. That way, when they do have those questions, you're the only person they can think of to call. So if you can build out a calendar, a cadence of content, and just stick to those basics that we covered today, have posts on Facebook, have posts on LinkedIn, get an email newsletter going out on a regular basis, and make sure it's content that they want to read. And you know what? Make sure your website is optimized to take leads, not drive traffic. Yes, you should drive traffic. I'm not saying don't, but if you're not doing anything with your website, make sure it is optimized to take leads. And then finally, use a variety of content, showcase your human side on those correct channels, and make sure when people are stalking you, they get a full picture of that you're a professional, you're a human, and you can build that likability, that trust factor without them ever having to speak to you, right? And 70% of affluent prospects research professionals on LinkedIn. I can't say that enough. They research professionals on LinkedIn before doing business with them. And if they don't find you, they're not going to call you to find out about you. They're just not going to call. Okay. And the number one reason that agents or advisors fail when it comes to digital, can anybody guess what that number one reason is? Consistency. It's absolutely all about consistency. And don't get bummed out when people don't read your stuff, right? Don't get sad if you're not getting a lot of emojis or your emails are only getting opened 18%. It's all about that consistency, because you only have two options to be that go-to source, right? One, you have to turn the light bulb on for them and say, hey, this is important, and this is why it's important. And then that clicks and says, oh my gosh, you're right. Please help me. Or you have to be there when that light bulb turns on for themselves, when something in their life happens and they say, oh my goodness, I wonder who I should talk to about this. So if you can use all these channels and you can consistently be in front of them in a warm, value-driven way, that when that light bulb turns on, there's only going to be one person they reach out to, and that's you. Okay. And so it's a huge opportunity right now in the virtual landscape to have that and to have the ability to do that. So, but it's all based on consistency. So those are the channels, those are the outlets. That's that approach that I really think that you guys should take. I always offer this, but if anybody has additional questions on any of that stuff, please just connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message and say, hey, you just talked to me about this, and I really want to learn more about email cadences, right? I'm always happy to help, especially with the members on here today. So please just reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. And I love helping advisors stay in front of their prospects and clients, because what you guys do is so important. And the only way to help people is if they know they need help. And this isn't a doctor's office, right, where people show up when they know they need help. They need that education to say, hey, do you know these options are out there? And advisors and agents provide that for the for the community, and they just need to know it exists. So as always, White Glove comes up with a solution that is a very hands-free model, right? We understand that you should be speaking with prospects, you should be talking to your clients. Anything else you're trying to figure out is a waste of your time. And you're an expert on certain things, and we're an expert on certain things. So White Glove Social Connect is our solution to staying top of mind in all of those channels. This is not a tool. This isn't something that you have to learn how to use. This is a service that we do for you. It's run by professionals on our team. That's what they do for a living. They run advisors nurturing platforms. They run advisors social media. They help advisors have relevant content on their websites. You know, a professional that does that every single day is going to be better than you trying to learn how to do it yourself, or paying the college kid down the street to come in and run your social media a couple of days a week. So what we've developed is our Social Connect service that really is just going to help you dominate your market, build that brand credibility across those channels. But we really want that run by a professional. So that's a true hands-free service. So you can get back to what you do best. So we use a multi-channel approach when it comes to our Social Connect. We post on all the major social media channels. We do Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We do weekly emails to up to 5,000 of your contacts. And then we do Facebook Live, which I'm going to explain here in just a little bit as well. So we're going to hit all those major things. We're going to do updates to your website. We're going to put a news feed on there, so there's relevant content on there with lead forms attached to everything. So when people are reading your content, they can opt into you. And where we get our content is not us guessing. Okay, this isn't us saying, we think your clients might want to read this, or we think your prospects next week might want to read about this. What we do is we grab content. Some of the stuff is curated that we do write ourselves, and some of it is pulled directly from the top publishers. So your Wall Street Journal, your Forbes, Barron's, Bloomberg, New York Times. And what we do is we curate the top engaged content. So the top 10% of articles that people are actively reading. This is what we pull. We brand it to you. We pull off all those nasty ads and paywalls and all that stuff. And that's what gets shared out across your social media. That's what gets updates on your website. That's what goes in your newsletter. So new content is added daily, and you can actually go in and pick the topics you like, the topics that you don't like, and you actually never have to log in at all. You can just pick up the phone and say, hey, Gina, I'd like to do this next week instead of that next week, and she'll take care of all that for you. So part of the way that we get that content is we pull things that are actively being read today. So it's not a guess at what your audience wants to read. It's what's popular based on the topics that you selected. The second way we're going to get the content is directly from you. So each quarter, we actually run a Facebook Live with you as the expert. And all that does is a little, if you're not familiar with it, but it's a little video that goes out on Facebook. All your followers on Facebook see that you went live and they can watch the video. And essentially what we do is after that video is done, it's maybe 5 minutes long. We're going to take that, we're going to turn it into an ad, and then we're going to push a marketing budget behind it into your desired area to gain more followers to your Facebook, to get more people to interact with you, to get people to book appointments. We're going to turn that into an ad and push that out for you. So you're getting the nurturing on the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, websites, emails, but you're also getting paid ads to attract more people to your social media sites. All of these channels, how we do it, are built to work together. The emails are designed to gain readership, but then also push them over to your social sites, right? The social sites offer the option for them to sign up for your newsletter. It's all built to kind of talk to each other. That way your clients and prospects are always being communicated with in the channel that they want. Right. And that's one of the most important things is speak to them how they want to. So I'm hoping you've gleaned a lot from today. There's a lot when it comes to social media and digital and this, and it's always changing. It's always evolving. Right. So if you have any additional questions, please, we can actually take some extra time here today. We'll answer some questions, but also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And as always, I really appreciate the partnership. So what we want to do is Social Connect, our normal price is $450 a month. And then there's a one-time setup fee of $450. That setup fee includes us building out all your social pages if you have them, or if you don't have them. If you don't have a LinkedIn page, we're going to help you build one. If you don't have a Facebook business page, we're going to help you build it. Same with Twitter. And then we go through all your branding and put that all into the system and all of that stuff. We build all that for you. If you already have them and you're kind of using them, we're going to go in there, we're going to optimize it with you, make sure it looks really clean and really well. And then every single month, we're going to be posting on those platforms. We're going to be sending out email communications on your behalf. Everything's branded to you. Everything has the ability to book directly on your calendar. And normally that service is run by a human being for $450 a month. So today's exclusive offer, reach out to White Glove if you're interested. But what we're going to do is we're going to waive that setup fee completely. So we'll optimize all of your channels for you. We'll get your branding built up completely for free. And then for the rest of 2021, we want you to try it out, and we're going to offer it at $250 a month. So even if you just do it for the next, 3 months or so, you're going to get your Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages and all that stuff optimized. You're going to get content on there for you. We think that there's no way in heck you're going to turn this service off after you use it. So we'd love to help let you try it out here through the end of the year. And then our contracts are normally a year-long contract that you sign up for, and you'll love the team over there on the Social Connect. They are professionals. They work with advisors day in and day out to optimize their social media and their virtual presence. They are absolutely here to help. They're wonderful people. And we'd love to get you up to speed today. We would love to get that working with you. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you have additional questions, again, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or shoot us an email at info@whiteglove.com. If you're interested in getting started with Social Connect, that's a great way to do it. Just go visit us at whiteglove.com. You can actually book a demo right on the website. Tell them you were on the webinar here today, and they will take care of you with that special offer. So with that, Beth, I am all wrapped up. We can open it up for questions if anybody has some. I know we got a few minutes extra here. Otherwise, if there are no questions, we could wrap back and we could get an extra 10 minutes back in our day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if there's any questions, please let us know. Thanks so much, Brad. We really enjoyed this partnership and such great information. So really enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you having me and looking forward to more things to come. And then, if you want to tune in tomorrow, we're going to show you how to wrap all of those things together, the prospecting, the seminars, webinars, and social media to have a marketing plan moving into 2022. So it's not just that shiny object syndrome of trying a bunch of different things. So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow and wrapping up this stellar week.
All right. Thanks again. And we look forward to seeing you all again. Bye-bye.